When you're ready to save for retirement, there are a ton of different accounts that you can choose from. Most places have a traditional 401k plan. And of course, if they do offer a company match, this is going to be your best option. But once you do max that out and you do get the company match, this could be the point where if they have a Roth variation, or if you have the ability to put money into a Roth 401k, that is great. But today's video, we're going to be looking at the IRA accounts with the individual retirement accounts. We're going to be looking at the Roth IRAs. Now, honestly, this is a question that as a financial counselor, as an educator, as someone that we really teach about investing, that we teach about saving money, it is important to know exactly what a Roth IRA does and exactly why we push a Roth IRA above the traditional IRA in 99% of the occasions. And of course, when you start thinking of the tax benefit, that is a given. So with the traditional IRA, you get a tax break up front. With the Roth IRA version, you do not get a tax benefit at all. All of the contributions made into a Roth IRA are after-tax contributions. Now, the way that I see this personally is when you think of a traditional IRA, you are kicking your tax liability down the road. If you're, let's say, 25 putting money into an IRA, if you're doing a traditional version, that could be 40 years you're kicking that down the road to the point when you're going to be required to take RMDs or get money out of that traditional account. Now you're going to have to pay that tax bill on a much bigger balance. And of course, you have 40 years of growth in there, meaning the balance is going to be much larger if you're doing regular contributions. But looking at the Roth variation, and I want to break this down into three very easy reasons why the Roth is the way to go when it comes to, and honestly for me, 100% it is the Roth. First one is the flexibility options when you're withdrawing money. This is super important. When it comes to Roth IRAs, you're putting in after-tax dollars, meaning you have already paid money in there. And because of this, the IRS is fairly lenient about when you can take withdrawals. When you look at traditional IRAs, removing funds prior to that 59.5, that is the magical number. You will not only pay your taxes, you will also get a 10% penalty on the sum you take out. That is a lot of taxes. With the Roth IRA, it's treated a little bit different. You won't be penalized for removing the principal before and really prior to that 59.5. So right there off the bat, that is a big, big difference. If I put $7,000 in a traditional, and let's say I'm only 50 years old, I put $7,000 into a Roth and I am 50 years old, I can still go in, I can take money out of that Roth because I've already paid the taxes on there, and I will not have to get that penalty that you would see by taking money out of the traditional account. It's only the portion that is gained. So again, we think of the scenario, you put that $7,000 into that Roth account, you put it into that traditional account. In the Roth variation, let's say that 7,000 grows to 7,500. If I take all 7,500 out, that 500, that growth that we've seen within the IRA is what you would have to pay taxes on until you are, of course, 59.5. Then it is completely tax-free. So there could actually be a growth part that you're kind of paying taxes on, but you also have to remember that portion of growth you did not pay tax on. Even though you put after-tax dollars, that growth you did not pay taxes on till you hit that 59.5. And then, of course, you also want to make sure that the Roth IRA has been open for longer than 5 years, and you want to make sure that there are not any penalties. Now, honestly, when it comes to this one, you want to talk to your tax advisor before making any withdrawals. You want to make sure, kind of the Roth money, same with the 401k money, it is the last resort, pulling out of your nest egg. And a lot of people do this for first-time home buyers. They do it for short-term loans. They do it in a lot of places. So there is really a pinch or a sting that you're going to feel when it comes to the money out of here, because this money is earmarked for retirement. It is not utilized and not supposed to be used for anything else. Now, the second one we look at, and this is my absolute biggest one, is no required minimum distributions. Now, this traditional retirement accounts make you start taking out the money at 73. Once you do get to 73, you have to take RMDs or required minimum distributions, meaning the government has come to the point where you're taking money out of retirement accounts. They are getting taxes and they are getting paid on those retirement accounts. And of course, you have to foot the bill and you have to pay that when you do your RMDs. Now, of course, this could be a tax liability depending on what bracket you're in. There could also be losing out on the chance, and this is another big one for me, on the compounding effect that we see within these big retirement accounts. If you've been making contributions into an IRA account, again, for let's say the last 40 years, chances are you've gotten to a very high balance in there. Starting to pull the money out of there is, of course, going to negligate or negate some of that compounding interest that you see. With the Roth IRA, you don't have to take RMDs, not at all. Not at all, period. You can continue to let this money run and really let this money grow, let this money compound. And the other big thing, avoiding the RMDs, the money can grow completely tax-free. If you don't need to pay for retirement expenses, if you're not taking money out of there, you can let this run even during retirement, so you can grow a bigger nest egg and grow faster. So if you're thinking of a nest egg and you're getting to the point where, hey, maybe, the 4% rule might not apply to you, you don't need this money for a multitude of years, you could see exponential gains when you do have that larger nest egg, because that compounding and really that building does go a lot faster. And the final one, and this of course is something that I'm really big on, tax-free income for your heirs. For me, like we said in our last video, 30% is going into a traditional 401k, 70% is going into the Roth variation. That Roth IRA or that Roth 401k money is what I'm leaving to my heirs. We are building generational wealth here, and I hope you do it as well. Because the Roth IRAs do not require any RMD, we can reserve some of the money or all of the money if we choose to pass along to our beneficiaries that can access it tax-free. That's right. If I have a nest egg by the time I get to retirement where I'm sitting on $500,000 in Roth funds, I have that other portion, that other 30%, that is set aside to supplement my Social Security that I'm going to use during my retirement years. That means that, boom, I have it all set for my kids. They can do a lot, especially paying for education, paying for a home. Starting them and setting them up for generational wealth can make a really big difference. Now, you have to note, an inherited Roth IRA that's less than 5 years old may be subject to taxes on the gains portion. So for me, I've already met this 5-year rule with not only the 401k contributions, but also for the Roth IRAs that I do possess. They are 5 years, they are greater than 5 years old. Don't even have to worry about that. But if you are thinking of this, and again, seek a skilled tax advisor if you're starting to take money out, or if your heirs are taking money out and the Roth has been open less than 5 years. But of course, I can leave, and I am leaving a completely tax-free legacy behind for my kids, for my grandkids, and really building it. Now, when it comes to really putting money into a Roth, it is imperative that you start, and you start early. The earlier that you're making contributions into 401ks, the earlier you're putting money into these Roth IRAs, then you'll start the 5-year rule really rolling. The big thing to remember with this is when you think of IRA accounts, I have links down below to M1 Finance. We have them to Robinhood. Opening up an IRA account, I do require, and I do really highly recommend the money to be invested in the market. I see a lot of IRAs that are at your Chase, your Bank of America, your Wells Fargo. I see a lot of IRAs that are at your local credit unions. Some people put them in CDs. Some people leave the money sitting in IRA accounts, both traditional and Roth variations, that are earning a 0.3% interest, meaning every single year that you're putting contributions into these accounts, they are getting eaten up in their entirety, plus some. With inflation in the United States, these have to be invested in the market. They have to be able and having the ability to grow for an extended amount of time. And even when it comes to investing in general, we are talking 5+ years. So when you think of the 5-year Roth IRA rule, 5 years is the investing guideline, where if you're not going to keep the money in there for a minimum of 5 years, I do not advise investing the money, looking for something short-term, looking at your high-yield savings, looking at your CDs. But overall, if you're not willing to leave the money in an investment account, especially if it's earmarked for retirement 5+ years, then you shouldn't be investing really at all. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next video.